And I learned a lot from this, that you really could do whatever you wanted to do if you just actually took the steps. It's just so easy not to. It's so easy just to keep doing things the way you're doing it. It's the most powerful collection agency in the world. And I'm going toe-to-toe with them, and I'm beating them at their own game.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Success in South Florida podcast. I'm your host, Adam Rawson. And on today's episode, we have Steve Klitzner. Now, this is about 13 months in the making, Steve, because we've canceled on you like 4 times. It is all my fault, not yours at all.
My people and your people couldn't get together on the proper compensation.
It was intense.
We finally agreed on zero.
Intense contract negotiations.
Yep.
You required a no trade clause.
That's right.
We finally agreed, and yes, we got you for zero. Finally,
Yep.
Negotiated you pretty hard.
Well, usually I pay a lot, but this one I'm very happy about.
Maybe we'll give you a free commercial.
All right,
if you want. But Steve, you are a tax controversy lawyer, and I know what that is, but a lot of people don't. So we'll talk about that. But really, we're going to talk about you, your journey, what's made you successful. You have your own spin, your own take on things. I know, you and I are both members of Provisors. It's a nationwide networking, and I don't ever want to say it's a referral group, because it's really more of a relationship-based group. Networking is one component, referrals are another component. We can talk about Provisors as well, and let's just kind of get right into it. So I know you were, like most Floridians, not me, because I'm born and raised here. Used to be one of the few, but there's more and more of us. But you were from the Northeast, born and raised in New Jersey.
Right.
Okay. So talk to us about how you migrated down. Which path of migration did you take?
Well, we flew, actually, when I came down the last time. And what happened was we came down to Miami every summer for vacation. Miami Beach, the Colonial Inn Motel. It was a great place to kind of grow up in. And then when it came time to go to undergraduate school, it's like, well, am I going to stay in New Jersey? That was the number one thing. Why don't I just go to Miami?
We're going to go to Rutgers, and come down to Miami.
Why would I go to a great school like Rutgers when I can go to Suntan U? So it was weird back then, though, because it's different nowadays. Nowadays, people are more sophisticated. They've already traveled. They've been on their own. But back then, it was a big leap saying, I'm leaving home and just going to South Florida, and I'm going to go to the University of Miami. It sounded like a good idea at the time. It turned out to be a good idea.
Yeah, so tell me about that. So I'm assuming you're 18 years old. You come down. The weather is great.
Yep.
I'm sure there's a lot of fun co-ed opportunities for you. Right. And did you really talk to us about what you learned through your 4 years at Miami?
Yeah. Well,
besides how to, have a good party.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you the one thing. It's funny. In every class I think I took at UM, there's still one thing I remember about each class that I learned and I still think about. Other than that, very little. It was fun. I got to be on another thing and similar to me just going to Miami to go to school, they had a radio station there. And I always wanted to be a sportscaster. And something told me, just do it. Just go out of your comfort zone. It's so easy all the time not to do anything different. And just stay with the way things are going. And just have good ideas and not do it. And I said, I'm going to be on the radio station. And the first year, I was there and I didn't do too much. And then the second year, I said, I'm going all in. I'm going to do this. And by the time I was a senior, I was the sports director at WVUM. I was doing Miami Hurricane baseball play-by-play, football play-by-play, traveling around the country with the baseball team. It was a great thing. So that was really like the first time in my life that I ever said, I want to do something. When you're in high school, junior high, I'm getting all A's. I'm making the first honor roll. And about 2 weeks later, it's like, maybe next time. But this was different. I just put my head down, and I learned a lot from this, that you really could do whatever you wanted to do if you just actually took the steps.
Right. And so you're there. Now, was this in the days of Mark Light Stadium?
That's right. It was Mark Light Field. That's so long ago.
Okay. See, when I was there for law school, it was the stadium, right? And I know it's gone now. right? Yeah. And so were the UM baseball and football teams really good when you were there?
Well, the football team, I don't want to say they were bad, but they improved one year from 3-8 to 2-8 because they got a game canceled, and that was a big win for us. Football was bad. They were talking about actually getting rid of it before May. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is in the 70s. Baseball, Ron Frazier was making it all happen, and he became the most famous baseball coach. He had a $5,000 a plate dinner as a fundraiser in Mark Light Field. So he really built it into a stadium, and he built an incredible program.
That was in the 70s, $5,000 a plate dinner.
Yeah, well, most of them were already donors. They had already donated it.
Wow, okay, that's great.
I did it. I paid out on it. My final payments in a year and a half. I have no $100. No, but I went as a sportscaster on the radio station. So it was great. The shrimp was really good. That's the one thing I remember about that.
Just remember one thing about everything. Yeah. So now you are the second sports radio person we've had on. First one we had Zaslow. I don't know if you know Jonathan Zaslow.
Oh yeah.
So he's doing his thing. He was actually my next door neighbor at UF for undergrad and college. So we've been friends for 20 years. Had him on. He was fantastic. And then I don't know if you know Uptown Dale, who's the Miami Heat in-arena host. So not quite sportscaster, more, in-arena host, Uptown Dale.
I know Dale well.
Everybody knows Uptown Dale.
Got a couple bar mitzvahs for
Yeah, okay, good. It's funny. Dale came here, and we just had his episode maybe 4 or 5 episodes ago. And while he was here, he picked up a bar mitzvah from Susan Lawson, one of our attorneys. So he comes in to be a guest, and he leaves signing a contract for a bar mitzvah. It's amazing.
That's cool.
Okay,
great guy.
But we've had a few people in and out of the sports, and kind of sports, the radio or TV entertainment sphere. But Steve, one thing that you said that really resonated with me was out of the comfort zone. Why do you think that people don't get out of their comfort zone or don't take the chance?
It's just so easy not to. It's so easy just to keep doing things the way you're doing it. But you got to challenge yourself. And I've had several things over the years where I just challenged myself to do something that I didn't have to do. And I'll tell you, it's so rewarding when you do that.
Okay. And what kind of emotions are you going through? Are you scared? Is there fear? Is there anxiety? Or are you just like, hey, I'm doing this and all in?
Well, yeah. And it's funny because once you do it and you go all in, I don't remember ever being scared or afraid or worried about it. It was just that commitment. It's so hard to make a commitment. It's easy to talk about. It's easy to have great ideas. But when you make that commitment, it really pays off. And it's happened several times for me. And, I think back, things happen in your life that you're doing something and then you make a switch or everything changes. And sometimes you look back and go, why did I do that? Why did I make that switch? There's something deep down telling you, go do it. And you got to listen to yourself and do it.
Yeah.
No, boy, I'm inspiring myself that I should be on my own show more often. I got pumped up.
If you want, when we get to the new studio in Boca, we'll produce your show.
I'm leaving from here.
Yeah. No, but Steve, this is great stuff. And I think you're exactly right. But now, look, you're 18, 19 years old. You're whatever it is.
An idiot.
Well, yeah. Well, inexperienced, right? There's no wisdom. And you're, whatever it is, 2,000 miles from home. You're in a new area. But how do you decide to really just say, yeah, I'm going to, especially sports radio. It's something that a lot of people probably who love sports have that dream to be, I want to be a sports talk person. I want to be on TV. I want to be a sports agent, or whatever. There's so many things that people who love sports can do, but 99% of them never do it, right? Because for whatever reason, they think it's too hard or they just give up or they're not willing to put themselves out there. So really, what was it in you that made you do it?
I don't know in thinking back. What happened was, and this was other than like deciding just to go to college and just coming down here, the first thing I ever did in my life that I really committed to was I was in my second year of undergraduate school. I was really going to get into the sports radio, WVUM, and we did the play-by-play of the University of Miami baseball game. So I made a decision in the fall that they would have to elevate me to do play-by-play because I was going to learn more about the team than anyone else knew. And I was going to go to baseball practice every day in the fall, and when it started in the winter, I went every single day. I knew every player. I knew the coaches. I knew the nuances of the game and what they were going to do. And when it really came time as a sophomore, it was like, we got to put the kid in. He seems to know a lot. And then my junior year, I did a lot of games, and then I was the sports director my senior year.
So you put in the work. Now, is this something, did you grow up playing baseball? Did you know a lot about this? Like, and when you went to Miami, what did you want to do?
I wanted to get through school. You didn't know better.
Okay.
Yeah, all right, I'm going to be a sportscaster, but
Really go to school saying, I want to be a tax controversy lawyer. That's
oh no, I did that like last week.
all right, good. Well, that's that.
No, but we back then there wasn't a thought. I took a lot of communications classes. I liked the radio. I thought that was good. And you know what? And I knew a lot of people that turned out to stay in broadcasting. Some of them became very famous. Some of them stayed for a few years. And I had that choice. There was a point in time where it's either do this and travel around the country and get jobs here and there. And then I had the epiphany that I'm just going to go to law school. I'm not going to do all this. I don't know what caused me to do that either. But the big thing, I think, is that I met my wife before my sophomore year. So I wasn't going to leave her. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we weren't married then, but I wasn't going to leave. So the idea of I'm going to get a job in Nashville doing their late night news or late night sports, and that was off the table.
And
Yeah.
was she involved with sports at all in Miami, or just did you meet her in class, or?
No, I met her. We were counselors. I was a counselor at that hotel we went to every year, the Colonial Inn. I became which was my lifelong dream, was to be the teen counselor at a motel when I was old enough. The bar was low. And I became the teen counselor at the hotel, and she was a counselor at another hotel, and we went on a field trip, and that's where we met.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And she went to UM too, so the rest.
She ended up going her last 2 years to UM. And she went to Miami-Dade. Then I filled out the forms, and she was pretty smart. We got a scholarship. I was smarter because I knew how to fill out the forms. But thanks to her grades and my wit, we got her into UM. Her parents couldn't afford it, so she went to UM for free.
All right. So now that's this history, right?
Yeah.
All right. Wrap up the show.
That's it. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Okay. So you're doing that. You become the sports director, right? Really cool stuff. When did what happened next? Did you go out into the real world, or did you go straight into law school?
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to. If I ever didn't go to law school the next year, I probably never would have gone back. I made the decision junior year. It was one, I had more of these than I thought. It was one night. I said to my roommate, I'll tell you, we had just gone to Highlight, and we had lost every game. Back then, Highlight was a big.
It was. I remember the commercials when I was a kid.
Oh, my goodness. So we lost. And on the way home, I said, I'm going to be a lawyer. From now on, I'm getting all A's because my GPA was decent. It wasn't very good because I really didn't care. And luckily, they graded on the curve. And I was at UM. I mean, the lowest you could get's a C, and anything you did a little bit's a B. So, but it was a little too low. And it was junior year, and I said, that's it. It's got to be A's from here on out. And it was A's from there on out. I got into the University of Miami Law School and didn't look back from there, I guess.
All right. And when you went there, especially in the beginning, did you have a particular focus? So like for me, I knew I wanted to be a litigator. And so was it going to be personal injury, or was it going to be, personal injury / civil, or was it going to be criminal? And I didn't know, but I knew I wanted to be in court. I did not want to do estate planning or real estate or transactional work. I wanted the thrill. I wanted the rush. That's just, that was me. What about you?
I wanted to get out and pass the bar.
Okay.
That was my ambition, because I didn't really work very hard in law school. A friend of mine said to me before law school, he said, I know what's going to happen. You're going to barely get by the first year, then you're going to figure it out, and you're going to do very well after that. And he was right. First year I got by. I didn't really study because I had a girlfriend. Having a girlfriend when you're in law school can be a challenge. When everyone's studying and I'm at her house, or although I had a great way to study. I'd put all of my books in the trunk of my car for the weekend. And I never opened the trunk, but they were in the car.
They were close.
They were in the car, but I made sure they were in the trunk far enough away, and that was my way to study it. Yeah, I wasn't really into it, but then I figured out how to get very good grades.
Oh, and the first year is always the hardest. They try to weed people out. Like,
Yeah.
I went to UM, probably a few years after you.
But you took a shot at it. Just
to hear that. Just to feel. I can't count that high. And but UM was still very. I know UM was very old school when you were there. They were still old school when I was there. I remember I started in the fall of '03, and they told us, well, what if this new thing called the internet breaks? So you guys are going to need to learn how to use the books. And on top of that, we're not giving you Lexis or Westlaw passwords until your second semester. And we'll know if you cheat. We'll know because all your friends at every other law school in Florida is going to get Lexis and Westlaw right away, day one. You're not. So Miami was always a little slow to adapt there. But I didn't do so well either in my first year of law school. I was pumped and ready to go. And I was like, get me in a courtroom. And then I realized that there's professors who are there to research, who don't care. And, I went to Florida, so I knew that already from UF, but I thought law school would be different. Mm-hmm. And when I realized they didn't care either, my Civ Pro professor showed up 10 to 15 minutes late every single day, just did not care. And there was nothing they could do because he was tenured. And I wanted to get in a courtroom. Oh, by the way, the whole first year we're reading cases from the 15 and 1600s and pure Socratic method.
Yeah.
To me, I didn't like it. So I had an outlet where after that first year, I became a high school basketball coach in my second shot. And that has done wonders for me. And, I'm still coaching to this day. And if I didn't do
triangle offense.
No, we don't run triangle. We run some more modern stuff. But, we're down.
But you just took a shot now.
Yeah, Jax, I know. Well, yeah, I know. Well, he does an amazing job. If he got Jordan and Kobe to play within it.
Yeah, yeah.
But we run some more modern stuff. More running gun. I like to run a gun with basketball. But yeah, if I didn't do that, who knows? Because I was miserable my first year. Absolutely miserable at Miami.
Yeah.
Socially had a great time. But from just the class and everything, not good for me.
Yeah, I used to sit in the back of the room with the cool kids.
Yeah.
And then they'd look at me and go, why are you back here? Well, it's like, but I'm back at Tiff Bay. So I had nowhere to even sit. I wasn't going to sit in the front with the people that got there all the time and were taking notes. I didn't go.
Yeah, because your GPA wasn't good enough for them. And
that's it. I was a man with that on an island. But that's pretty good. Oh, wait a minute. I'll tell you. I coached all my kids. I have 3 boys. I coached them in a lot of sports. Baseball is always my favorite. Baseball is my favorite sport. And it's so much fun, isn't it? Watching somebody get better and listening to you. It's a great thing.
It is. And I pretty much played baseball and basketball growing up. Soccer was too much running for me.
Yeah,
but I like soccer. And,
I made most of the audience, but I don't get it.
Right, that's fun. But I have 2 boys right now. My oldest is turning 6, and my youngest is he's turning 3. And I'm so excited for them. Whatever they want to do, we're going to do, whether it's lacrosse, basketball, even if it's not sports. But, you learn a lot of lessons, especially in team sports. Swimming and tennis are great, but I think you learn so many more lessons in team sports that are just life lessons all around. So even at Rawson Law Firm, we have 20, 25 people on the team right now. We love people. We just had 2 of our new-ish hires. One very competitive volleyball player, and another one very competitive basketball player throughout both their lives. And there's no substitute for some of those, those lessons, especially in a competitive environment, because our firm is very competitive too. So that's just kind of our DNA here.
Yeah, I'll still run into a kid. We'll be out for dinner. Somebody will come up to me, hey, coach.
Yeah.
And it's just those were good days. And
to see the impact, right? The impact, not just your kids, but your kids' friends and other people. It's really, it's very humbling, and really makes you feel, just again, like I said, the impact of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take us through. So Miami, Miami law, up and down grades and this, that. And so at the time, did you kind of morph into, okay, I know I want to do tax, or did you do some other things, you know?
No, I really didn't have anywhere to go, you know, and I made the dean's list one semester. So I went to Dean Menchikoff.
Okay.
And I said, Dean Menchikoff, my voice cracked when I said it. Can I have a recommendation? She says, well, how'd you do last semester? I said, I made your list, the good one this time. And she said, what course?
That's like, finally, about something.
So what courses did you take? And I told her, she goes, well, those really aren't very hard courses. No. So you know what? I used her name anyway, because here was my thought. If I was looking for a job and anyone checked my resume because they didn't believe me, that's not a place I wanted to work.
Right.
Sounds
good. So, okay.
Anyway, so
we got some hot hat mentality here.
That's it. So anyway, and then I was in the right place at the right time. I was working for legal services, interning as part of school because you get grades. And I was at the courthouse. I saw a guy I know. I went up to him and said, how you doing? He said, good. I said, well, looking for a job. I was in going into my third year. And I went in the summertime because I wanted to get out quick. I just wanted to get out. And he says, what kind of work do you want to do? I said, because I had a friend of mine who was interning. I said, well, personal injury sounds easy. Just then, guy comes by, he grabs him, and that was my boss for 13 years.
Wow.
And then I left there, and I was doing personal injury work.
So, all right, let's break that down. You know, you say right place, right time. I hear that a lot. Some people call that luck. Some people, right, you know, don't believe in luck or believe that you can make your own luck. So I got some opinions, but let's see. I want to hear from you. What do you know, looking back on that experience, where do you think that kind of falls in for you?
You know, it's just, I don't know if it's fate, just a lot of things happen in your life. And, you know, if like some of those movies where, you know, they have like parallel lives because one little thing happened.
The multiverse.
Yeah, I love the multiverse. Big believer. And what happens is, you know, something comes across and you decide that's the way you're going to do it. I mean, if I hadn't been on the bus that day, met my to-be wife, if I hadn't been in that spot, I never would have gotten that job. I wouldn't have interviewed there. Everything else would have changed. But then I'd be talking to you with a different background where I say, well, that changed everything and I was in the right place at the right time. So it's just a matter of, you know, what I fix your life.
Oh, but also I think it's a little deeper because you took the initiative to talk to that lawyer and to say to the other lawyer and say, hey, I need a job, right? As maybe a 22-year-old or 23, 24-year-old, 25-year-old, where there's still, and maybe it's more prevalent in today's society, but there's a lot of really smart people that are shy. And I was very shy. I'm still an introvert. But over the last 25 years, I've learned and I've worked very hard to push myself out of my comfort zone. I remember I was a very good high school basketball player. You know, basketball is my sport, right? And so I never had a job because my job was school and basketball. And my high school season ended mid-February of my senior year. And I turned 18 in March.
You were where? What school?
So I graduated from Shaman Madonna in Hollywood. Okay. You know, nice Jewish boy going to a Catholic school.
Chris Myers was there. That was before.
Oh, yes, he was. Yes. And so I really enjoyed it because I learned a lot about Catholicism, which was interesting. And then it just pushed me back. I joined a Jewish fraternity at UF because I'm like, oh, yeah, you guys were cool, but, you know, I go back to my people. But it was great. It was great. And so, but my high school season ends, and I'm like talking to my mom and dad. I'm like, I want to make some money now, you know. And servers, you know, waiters make good money. They make cash. It's quick. But I wasn't 18 yet. I turned 18 in March, and so I was always in my group of friends, you know, very outgoing, but not. You know, I'm not. And still to this day, you can get me on stage with 200 people and give a bang up lecture, but when I'm on a plane, I wear a hoodie. And I don't want to talk to people.
Yeah, same.
And yet my wife, who's next to me, she makes friends with everybody. And she's like, you're so antisocial. I'm like, I just need to like get in my own Zen moment, right? So it comes and goes.
Yeah, I do the exact same. I bring my wife with me because by the time we're off the plane, she's already Facebook friends with the flight attendant.
Yes. But I tell my parents that and they go, Adam, you don't like talking to people. This dates me a little bit. They're like, you want us to call Blockbuster to see if a new movie's in stock. I'm like, people just frustrate me and annoy me sometimes. I'm like, but this is for money. And so, I want to do it. And they just laughed at me. They're like, okay, if you want to do it, but you don't talk to people and you got to talk to people and be a waiter. And I did it. I got the job. I turned 18, became a waiter. But it forced me because I did it in high school and then throughout college. And it really forced me to lead a conversation, to go up to strangers, and build relationships with strangers. And that I think is something that really helped me. And then I learned at a fairly young age, oh, I'm getting better. I'm growing because I'm uncomfortable. And this is not a bad thing to be uncomfortable. It's actually a good thing. So that really helped me a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so what I would say for you, because you could have easily just not gone up to that person, not asked for a job. Maybe it was a fear of rejection. Maybe it was just being shy. So I look at it as there is a bit of obviously luck and chance, but the odds of the chance leading to something positive increase significantly when you put yourself out.
Yeah, that's a good point. It doesn't just happen. You have something to do with your own luck, whether you realize it or not.
Right. So that's just something.
That's good. We should record this. I'd like to hear it back.
If only we had a podcast. Right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So then you get this, you do PI. Are you in Miami? Do you move up?
Miami.
Well, so you're in Miami.
Yeah, no, we're in Miami. We're doing PI and did well at it. Finally, I was a law clerk. Then I was a junior partner, then a senior partner, and then a kind of a partner. At least my name was on the door.
Okay.
And, it's, and you've worked, well, did you work in a private firm?
So I clerked at a firm and then I was a prosecutor. So, some parallels, I'd say being a prosecutor in the government. But since then, no, I've only had firms. So.
And it was very, I liked it and I hated it. And I get a little irritable on Sunday nights. And after 13 years, they changed the deal a little bit. Every time they changed the deal before, I always picture they knocked me down, brush myself off. I'd get up and I'd say, okay, let's keep going. And this time I said, no, I'm not going to give this any more thought. Because if I do, I'm going to say, why would I ever leave? I have it so good here. I've got their money backing up the cases. I'm making plenty of money. I get a piece of my own action. I don't have to worry about anything. This is the greatest thing in the world.
Is this a big firm, small firm?
Well, for PI, it was big. There were anywhere between 4 and 6 of us at any given time. But we had a high volume firm. It was an excellent law firm, a real trial firm. So this happened, and I said, well, I think about it. I'm going to go, okay, still doing great. And I just put my head down and said, and for those reasons, I'm out. And I left, and I had no idea what I was doing. I was probably more naive then about running a practice than I was when I went to the University of Miami when I was 18. I had no idea what was going on. And I left with someone who was also a partner, and then he got cold feet, went right back.
Oh,
and I was upset about it. I wasn't upset about it. It's funny because it was great going with someone. You had that feeling of somebody with you. And when he said he wasn't coming, I was, in a sense, relieved. Because now all the decisions we were trying to figure out, making together, we didn't know what to do. It's like up to me. I just took care of what I needed to take care of. And I went out on my own. And I was successful doing personal injury for several years. Good practice. Enjoyed what I was doing. I was good at it. And in 2001, I change every century. So
okay.
I decided I didn't change my practice.
New century, new year.
That's right. And even though, you always hear these success stories where people say, I was down on my luck. I was bankrupt. I was this, that. It was like, my practice was doing well. I was making a nice living. And
did you have any staff at this time?
Yeah, I had, I always had my secretary. Back then they were secretaries, not legal assistants or paralegals, but she had been with me 23 years. She retired several years ago and moved up to Tennessee. And I still have to get her a gift every year. I have to send her something through Goldbelly every January 23rd.
It's funny though, Floridians retire north, everybody else retires south.
That's right. Okay. But she went up there, and I was doing my favorite thing of the day, which was reading my junk mail. Because, sometimes you see a motion for summary judgment in the real mail, then you have to read it. Who needed that? And notices of hearings and all that. But I was looking at the junk mail, and I got this letter from a guy in, it was from a CPA in Denver. And they had this area of law where you made more money, you had less pressure, your clients like you, your clients are happy, they have they like paying you, the phone rings off the hook, everything every lawyer ever wanted in the world.
Is this what this letter said?
Like for the most part, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I still have it too. I don't throw a lot out. So I said, there's a show called Hoarders for that. That's true. Well, I'm not that bad. Okay. But yeah. Well, what happens is I just put stuff in a corner and I tell my wife, just send it to a farm in upstate New York and I'll be happy. And then it's all gone and I feel all right about it. But I do save some old stuff like that. And for whatever reason, I made the call. I said, what are you talking about here? And he says, representing people against the IRS. And it was about $6,800 for 1 year. Covered all these seminars, everything you needed to get up to speed. Non-refundable. Back then, they didn't have refunds. And I called the guy. I had my 15 minutes with him. And the first seminar was coming up in September of that year in Denver. And for whatever reason, and I have no idea how I would do this or why I would do this, I said, I'm going to do it. And I called my brother. He does personal injury in Fort Lauderdale. I said, Jay, I'm going to represent people against the IRS. He says, do you even know what IRS stands for? International Resource Society? I don't know, but I think I'm going to do this. And I went all in.
So no finance background, no CPA background.
I was pretty good with numbers.
Right.
We were batting averages, but
okay.
Yeah. But no real accounting background. And I go out to the seminar, and I still remember the people I met. Actually, it was set for September 14th or 15th, 2001, and that got canceled because of 9/11 at the last minute. I remember they were still trying to put it on because it was too late, and there was no real email. It was like by fax. They told us it's off. And we picked it up again in January of 2002 is when I went to my first one. And I just said to myself, if I'm going to do this, because more than half the people, they get the material, they put it on a shelf.
Right. How'd they go to conferences for you?
Yes. Yeah. I get it next year, this year. I said, no, I'm going to spend the money. I'm going to do what they wanted to do. Because when I took the bar exam, and I hadn't really studied a lot in law school, I was learning stuff for the first time. I took a course and I said, whatever they tell me to do, I'm going to do because I'm going all in on this. And it was the same thing here. I'm going to learn this stuff. And the concepts weren't hard. It's not hard what I do. There's a lot and you have to know it and you have to have some imagination, some creativity and ability to solve problems. And I liked it. It seemed pretty good. And I decided this is what I'm going to do. Now, I still had the personal injury practice. And I was like going back and forth. It was like My Three Sons when Robbie had 2 dates to the prom. I'd be like, I'm a personal injury lawyer. And then, you have a tax person coming to change everything in the lobby. Well, we're tax lawyers now. Everything's going to be different. And all of a sudden, everything was different. And I just decided this is what I was going to do. And I was going to go to every course and learn everything I could. And after a few years of going to everything, the people who ran the organizations that I was going to said, basically, you can't go all the time. You must know what you're talking about. Maybe you should speak for us.
That's great.
And I said, well, I'm going to call your bluff. I'm in.
All right.
And since around 2007, I've been speaking around the country, teaching practitioners how to do this, including, teaching for the guy that got me in it with people in the audience that I used to look up to there was one guy, he was the guy that answered the questions. You type in a question, you'd answer it, and I'd be asking him the stupidest questions in the world, and I'm speaking at a seminar, he's in the audience learning what I have to say. So that's really a great thing. So that is my favorite part, is that I get to teach this, so I figured it out.
This episode of the Success in South Florida podcast is brought to you by the Rawson Law Firm. We're more than just incredible lawyers. We genuinely care about helping good people when bad things happen. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews and a proven track record of fighting for people in our community. If you need trusted legal help in South Florida, start by calling the Rawson Law Firm today, 754-206-6200. See, and that's so cool. I see so many parallels between you and me in that our third core value here at Rawson Law Firm is take action. And I can tell you, I've been in the legal marketing and legal business, right, growth universes for about 10 years. I started the firm in 2008. I was 26 years old, didn't know what I was doing. I had my own partner. We were prosecutors together. Now, we were together from 2008 to 2015. We grew enough to not come crawling back to the state attorney's office, but we had no staff, no team, no nothing. The traditional, as we talked before we started going live, just the traditional criminal defense kind of cowboy lawyer we didn't even have a trusty paralegal with us or a legal assistant. It was just me and him. And when he decided in 2015 that we should split, it did after a month or two of us. I mean, thinking about it, at first it was like, okay, my back is against the wall. I got to learn and grow. But then as I started learning and growing, I was like, oh, this is a relief. I can truly be in charge of my own destiny and build this the way I want to. And as I'm learning, so I'm going to these groups, 2015, 16, 17, and going to conferences, and I'm meeting people. I'm saying, hey, so have you implemented, you've been a member of this group for 7 years. Did you do that? Did you do this? Did you do that? No. Why not? Busy. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, you guys, no wonder, like, I'm accelerating and you're not. I'm not that special. It's just I'm taking action. I'm doing the work. I'm playing all in, which is our fourth core value at the firm. And next year I go to the conference, same kind of stuff, and I'm growing. And right,
this guy's still building his website.
Right. And lawyers have that quite often, the perfectionism or just allowing themselves to get bogged down in the weeds, right? Of obviously casework and other things, but I'm working 18-hour days between the work and then the building and taking chances to hire people and, failing and then picking myself up, right? And so, and just like you, then I start speaking at conferences and, in 2025 alone, I've already, I think I'm going to be speaking at least 2, if not 3 conferences. I'm very excited. I'll be speaking at a Maximum Lawyer Conference in October in Nashville, probably in front of 250 people. Really excited for that. That's my second time speaking there. But I enjoy it. I love it. There's always the teacher in me, the coach, the teacher, and just going through and meeting great people who, like me, are taking action, like you, who did take action, and others trying to influence others who still won't. But I've always done it through what I know, which is criminal law. You completely changed practice areas. So there is a bit of that people can have that hesitation of, well, I need to be perfect before I start doing this. Now, that doesn't strike me as you, Steve, right? Just from knowing about you, right, and talking with you here today. But most lawyers, it's the, let me research, think, prepare. Okay, it's been 4 years. Now I feel comfortable. Now I'm perfect. Now I can put it out into the world, right? Talk to us about your thought process of making this big change.
It's funny. When I was a young lawyer doing personal injury, I'd meet somebody who was, I didn't really know answers. So I said, God, now I'm an expert in personal injury. I never have to do that again. I start the tax stuff. I'm meeting people. They know more about the IRS than I do. I'm excusing myself to go look things up. I'm just, and they could kind of tell because it's, how long have you been doing this? And it's like, I've been a lawyer 15 years now. Change the subject. But you had to start doing it. And you have to start doing it. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to learn from the mistakes. You're going to do better. One of the biggest things when I teach attorneys, enrolled agents, CPAs, one of their biggest hurdles is they don't know what to charge people.
Okay.
And when you start doing the work I do, you don't charge them very much because you don't understand your value. You don't know anything about what you're doing. When you start realizing your value and you start doing your area of law on a, and you really get good in it, you're doing it full time, you're all in doing it, now you are charging more and working less and getting to better answers quicker. It really pays off.
Right.
So, that's one of the things that it was difficult in the beginning to really start all over, especially with new clients. But the difference was, as a personal injury lawyer, most of my cases were from referrals. And as I said, I did quite well. When I started doing the tax stuff, I started settling the personal injury cases and referring the rest of them out.
Did you consider hiring a lawyer to just do the PI while you do the IRS?
No, you know what? I don't think I did. Because I was at the point, and I might have been wrong on this. I guess I was. But I thought I'd have assistance, and rather than tell somebody what to do, I should just do it.
Okay.
I like delegating. I delegate a lot, but I just didn't necessarily ever want another attorney. I had a partner for 1 year right after I went out on my own. It was a guy, and we had the best time. Oh, my God. We had the best year, made no money. We actually owed more money after the year when we stopped. He did real estate. I did personal injury, and it was great. And after that experience, it's like, I just want it to be me.
Okay.
I just don't need anybody else. But what I was saying was, when I started doing the tax thing, the big change other than the law was I was now running a business. When I was a personal injury lawyer, overhead was low, get the cases, settle them, make the money. When I started becoming a tax lawyer and representing people with IRS problems, I had to run a business. I had to start hiring this staff. Everything was different. The marketing, the advertising, the networking, everything was different. And that I really liked. I really liked running a business as opposed to just getting cases and settling them.
A lot of lawyers hate that. A lot of lawyers hate running the business. Yeah. When in 2015, when my partner and I, were going through the process, I started reading as many entrepreneurial books and business books, and it's the classic E-Myth. Right?
Yeah,
I've read that.
I read that one. That was the first book I read.
Yeah, same too. Same. Oh, well, mine was probably the E-Myth Revisited.
It was. Yes, mine was revisited too. I didn't necessarily say that, but yes.
Okay, so yours wasn't the one on parchment paper.
No, it was revisited.
Okay, and so, but it was great, and it really it took me back to my childhood because my dad is a dentist and is a very skilled technician. He did cleanings himself, no dental hygienist. I mean, my dad could do anything with his hands. But he was very limited in his dental practice because he was Sarah from Sarah's Pies, the story in the book. And I remember, an ex-girlfriend of mine, her dad was a dentist, and he owned 40 dental offices. And he would always tell me, he's like, your dad's a much better dentist than I am, but this is what I built. I built 40 dental offices, and I'm going to have quite the exit and things like that. And so it really got me thinking back in 2015 of just what I wanted to do and how I wanted to build this and think about it more from the entrepreneurial side, because you actually do, look, there's always issues when you have a big team and there's, layers of management. You got to deal with people, good and bad, but there is a lot more freedom that you can have when you're not relied upon to do every single thing. And we're not trained that in school. Most lawyers don't go to law school, or people don't go to law school because they want to own a business or they want to own a law firm, and they don't start a law firm because they want to own a business. I started a law firm because I didn't like some of the things that were going on at the state attorney's office. And I kind of said, screw it. I'm just going to go out there. I'm a good, young, hotshot lawyer. I'm just going to be my own boss. It wasn't to create a real business, but it morphed over time. And I found that I actually love this stuff.
Yeah.
Even more than, I love being a lawyer. I love handling really complex, cool, fun criminal cases, but I learned that I love this even more. And we're building an amazing team and helping a lot of people along the way.
Yeah, so I agree. There's 8 of us at the firm, and I delegate as much as I can. I still, come in when they need me to really take care of business with the IRS. But I try to really run it as a business. I do a lot of networking, the marketing, get out there. I love getting new cases, and we get a lot of phone calls, because I've been doing this a while. I get calls from professionals. I get referrals from people. I don't really know who they are, but somehow they know me and they're sending me business.
Well, now, and so when you got that letter in 2001, it said, less stress, better clients, happier clients, right? Have you felt that way? Because I'm thinking if I get a letter from the IRS, I'm going to be pretty stressed and miserable.
Well, there's one thing. The one thing he was wrong about that, and that is you work less, because I work a lot harder than when I did personal injury. I always joke that when I was doing personal injury, I could waste an entire day and not do work before the internet. Could you imagine how good I must have been at wasting time? I just didn't get things done, procrastinated on. I did a good job, but things got done more at the last minute. Maybe it was because I didn't realize how much I didn't like the work until I got out of it and realized, why am I dealing with these clients, the judges, the lawyers, the insurance adjusters? But I put things off. But when I started doing this, I actually became better at getting things done, working on things, not wasting time because I don't have the time. And so the one thing they were wrong about was I would work less.
Okay.
But I had a low bar. So
right. I couldn't imagine what that would be like even before the internet.
If I was so good, I could go in someone's room, talk to them, waste an hour. Oh, God, it's the best.
So why is it that you think you really worked more and enjoyed it more? Like, what part of it was it? Just are there some nuances about it that you liked? About the tax controversy? Is it what? Because you're helping people in PI, you're helping people in tax controversy. Like, was it some of the strategic decisions? Was it more the legal and the tactical issues?
Here, I think it's this. I like playing games. I've always been great at games. When we play games, when I used to coach Little League, I chaired the rules committee. I knew the rules better than anyone else, so nobody could ever argue with me about the rules. When we play even board games, even if I played before, I read the rules before we play the game. I'm sitting playing Candyland with my grandchildren. It's like, Brooklyn, you can't move that. It's not a double yellow. And my wife's like, Steve, she's 6. Let her go. It's like, no, she's got to play by the rules. So I love rules. And when you deal with the IRS, they have rules. They don't always follow it. They don't know their own.
They don't, right, okay.
They have the Internal Revenue Code, but they also have the Internal Revenue Manual, which they are grossly poor at knowing what's in there. So I know their rules better than them. And here I am going toe-to-toe with the same adversary every time. And it's the most powerful collection agency in the world. And I'm going toe-to-toe with them, and I'm beating them at their own game. And that's where it comes in. I'm helping people, people say to me, and I know they say to you doing criminal work, how can you represent these people? They're terrible people. Well, most of my clients are good people. They have no other problem other than the IRS.
Same with mine.
Something in their mind, they just couldn't. It's almost like asking them to do brain surgery, taking care of their IRS problem, unless someone's bothering them to do it. And it starts snowballing to the point where they haven't filed returns for years. They're getting letters. They're not opening the letters because if you don't open a letter, of course, it doesn't count.
If only that was the legal loophole.
People come to me all the time with a stack of mail.
Wow.
And it always smells like smoke. They haven't opened it. It's got coffee stains on it. For whatever reason, they're drinking coffee and spilling it on the letters at the kitchen table while they're worried about opening or not. I open up the letters, smoke comes out, they cover their eyes. But they're really in denial, and they just need some guidance and some leadership. And that doesn't mean I get people off the hook, just like you don't get everyone off the hook, but we make the best deal for them based on the facts and circumstances of their case. And they go on with their life, and they're happier. At the end of the case, sometimes when someone really has no money and we settle a case where they owe 6 figures for $100, and I tell them about it, they're on the road, they pull over and cry, or they say, well, then how much do I pay him next month? It's like, it's over. It's done. That's what it is, and it's done. And that's the best part of what I do. So I think it's just the enjoyment of doing it. And the teaching adds another layer to it because I get to travel the country and teach people how to do this and tell them stories and do my little nonsense and try out my bits. And which I've tried out on you. There's a few bits I think I'm going to use at the next seminar. And that's just what and the challenge of teaching, I know we weren't talking about this, is I've got people in there that have never done a case and people that have been doing this for 10 years. And you're teaching them the same material and you have to give them both value and teach them both something. And there's the fine line where you're teaching the people that don't know without boring the experts, and we're teaching the experts without going over the heads of the people that just started doing it.
Very good point. Because I mean, I hate going to conferences now where it's all theoretical or it's all just surface level stuff. Because anytime I speak, I try to give at least a few tactical items that somebody can walk away with and implement right now. Even if it's, so for example, I'm at Max Law Economy, we talk about my internship program that we've built here. And I'm going to be specifically talking about what the program was like for me, the whole history of the program, but talking to the lawyers that maybe can take on one intern, not 12. We have 12 this summer. We had 300 applicants. We have 12 interns. And
I saw them, but they were here.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You're getting rid of all of them.
Yeah.
Brian and
I know. It was a great summer.
Everyone was on suicide watch. I felt a little bad.
We got the flak jacket in jail. But, it was a great summer for them. But most people aren't going to be able to jump to take on 12 interns. And so part of after I go through kind of the history of it and how it's morphed, I'm going to focus the remaining time on how you can start with one and make it more than just come hang out for the summer. Because that's what most summer internships are is, oh, my friend's uncle's cousin's brother knows, is a lawyer and you can go and hang out with them for a few weeks. Well, how can they turn it at least into something structured, albeit minimal, right, to give a better experience for the people and so the firm can get more value out of it. And so that's going to be a big part. We're actually working on it today about how to give that, those, tactics that somebody can literally walk away.
That's right.
Because that's important to me. Because if you just go and it's all theoretical, there's people who go to these conferences and never, ever, ever implement anything. And you have to. It's so important.
It's so true.
Now, Steve, I want to pivot because we just got a few minutes left. We know each other through Provisors. Okay, it's one networking group. You're in a ton of different networking groups. So you're more of the professional. Now I'd say you are a professional extrovert. Network. Knowing everybody, but talk to us about. Give us some advice on how well that's done for you. Why do you continue to do it? Right, and just what you learned from it.
Well, the networking and the marketing and all that stuff is good. I think the biggest mistake people make when they're in groups like that is they don't, especially a lawyer group, is that they don't really stand out. If you get up at a group of lawyers and you say, I'm a personal injury lawyer, this and that, I pay referral fees, everybody's like, I don't even remember who that was. I got my own people. But when I get up there, and if I were a personal injury lawyer, I'd get up there and go, I do products liability cases. And then people remember you. You stick to something. If you're a divorce lawyer, I represent mostly men and who have this sort of a problem or, whatever. And with me, I get up and I say the same thing. I say, my practice focuses exclusively on solving the IRS problems of individuals and businesses who owe the IRS or getting audited or haven't filed their returns. And that's what makes me stand out because I don't do any tax planning. It's bad for business. I don't when people call me and say, I'm setting up this business, what should I do for tax purposes? My answer is, if you get into a problem, I'll get you out, but I don't do that planning. I don't know. I don't know if you should be an LLC or an S Corp. You do it. I'll take care of it if it gets messed up.
You keep it very niche down.
Yeah.
We defend good people against the IRS, right? That's it. And I'm sure that helps you give outbound referrals to the tax planners, the tax strategists.
Yes. And any PAs, right, accountants.
And get inbound referrals from them.
Yes. That's what's good. Bankruptcy lawyers, I don't do that. I refer it out. I get work from the bankruptcy lawyers. So I try to stay in. Whenever I've done anything outside of what I do, since I've been a lawyer. It always ended in disaster in the past. So I just stay in my lane. The IRS keeps me plenty busy. By only doing this, I deal with the same people. I know all the revenue officers and revenue agents, the managers, the appeals officers, their managers, the territory manager, the area director, all the way up to the top. And by doing that, I can get things done that a lot of other people really can't do, or they do a whole different way.
Right. That's very important. Definitely niching down is great. It's great for the tactical skills that you have, right, to actually help people. It's great for the marketing component, the sales component, and just generally putting yourself out there, right? So it's very...
Yeah, and it's somebody who, that's all I've got. I only have room for one thing. All that personal injury stuff, I see somebody fall on the ground, that's a shame. The old days, shit all over it. And that's a case, this and that. Now it's like, I don't know if there's anything there. I have no idea what to do in personal injury anymore. But I do know the tax stuff. And I can help people. One of the other things I really enjoy, a lot of lawyers and lawyers that do what I do, and lawyers they don't like people calling them, just asking them for free advice, this and that. If somebody calls me, if I can't help them, I just tell them this is what you got to do. It doesn't make sense to hire me. And I think that helps me, because when I tell people the truth that they need me, they can, I think, subconsciously sense that I'm telling the truth. Because other people are saying, it's not something you need me to do.
Being genuine.
I'm genuine.
Right. Yeah. And you're giving value. I think in this world, so many successful people, they're giving value without an ask, right? Especially if that's appropriate. Now, if somebody needs to hire you for your professional services, then obviously they do, but I'm sure you're giving them value before they make that decision as well. Like, explaining the process and explaining what you can do to help. And I look at it too, if there's people, because I do a lot of lectures at many different places, but if I come into contact with somebody who just maybe, I'll give you an example. They had a DUI. They're convicted of the DUI. They had a public defender. And the case is over. But they have a few questions because they still don't know how to get their license back. I tell them. Yeah, I tell them what to do, how to do it. And I'm like, you don't need to pay me for anything. Just let me see if I can, steer you in the right direction.
Yeah, we have a gift, and we should share with people. And a lot of times I'll give somebody some free advice like that, and they're like, they can't believe a lawyer's giving them free advice. And it's like, what am I going to hide it? You have to pay me for me to tell you something you can just do and how to do it?
Yeah. So, all right, Steve, we're going to make sure that you get inundated with a bunch of people who watch this podcast, who want to get free advice from you.
Well, I don't want them to go out and we get a tax from. If they already have it, right, they can call me. Don't be inspired by me.
Okay, good. But maybe there's people that want to get into tax law, right?
That's a terrible business. I don't know why anyone would even attempt to do what I did.
Okay. And what's the best way for people to connect with you?
Well, you know what? They can call. Emailing me is great, but they can call. The office is 305-682-1118. We might still have an 800 number. I don't know what it is.
And you got the 305.
That's true. That's true. So we don't use the 800 number. And the email is Steve at Florida, spell out Florida, tax, T-A-X, solvers, with an S, solvers.com. And that's the website, floridataxsolvers.com.
You're big on TikTok.
I should be.
This should be. Okay, yeah. On TikTok. What about LinkedIn?
Yeah, I do a bit.
Okay, so people can find you there. They can call and email. Maybe just show up at the office unannounced.
They could show up. We're not always there. I try to work since COVID. I work mostly out of the house. My staff goes in, and we're all hooked together. We have a meeting every day at 11. But I'm one of those people that could really work at home and get a lot of work done. It's nice. The biggest traffic jam is when I'm going to get lunch. My wife's coming this way, and I got to go around her, and that kind of puts me out a little bit. But other than that, I'm one of those people that can really get a lot.
Wait, you drove up here, to film here, live in studio, and I really appreciate that. So, all right, Steve, thank you so much. This has been great. I highly encourage anybody to reach out, just for general advice, anything they need, right?
You can always call. The consultation is always free.
Great. Fantastic. I think you and we share a lot of similar core values. We look at the world in a very similar way, our businesses and everything. So I love the fact that I have this platform to go talk for amazing, cool people.
And I know this will get cut because we're running way too long and none of this is ever going to come out. But
That's the key to keep it in.
you didn't call, yeah, exactly. You didn't talk about fees, though. I think we do the same. Well, flat fees for me work. I think people really like flat fees.
So we do flat fees. We can add this in here. Yeah, we do flat fees. It gives price certainty to people. I've always felt like the billable hour model, it puts you most times at odds, conflict with your client. Look, we have 6 lawyers in our firm. And I tell people, I say, if we build you by the hour, you would not want us to work the way that we work, which is a collaborative process. We may have 2 or 3 lawyers on your case. We round on our cases like doctors in a hospital, and you're going to sit there and go, did you really need 3 lawyers in that meeting to talk? I'm getting billed times 3, right? Or it's going to rush them off the phone when, if we need to have a 2-hour meeting, we'll have the 2-hour meeting. Whereas if they're getting billed, they may rush it. They're not going to want the best. And we want to win. We want the best.
And I tell people, you don't want me to send you a bill, then you call me and say, why'd you send the bill? I explain it to you, and then I send you a bill because you called me. It just never ends. This way you can call us, and I have an incentive to get the case done. Some of these rip-off companies around the country, they charge people $1,000 a month until the case is over. And they will never solve the case.
There's delay for you.
And I have an incentive to get it done. Some people say, well, what if you get this thing done in a month? And the answer is, if I can take care of this problem where they're threatening your life, they're threatening to take all of your stuff, if I get this done in a month, you should pay me a bonus.
Right. It's value-based billing.
It's all about
instead of time.
That's it. And I think that works out good. And people really like that because they know if something doesn't work, I won't say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to send you a bill for it. It's like, no, I'll do it until it gets done.
Right. Absolutely. So we can definitely add that in there.
All right. Put it in.
All right. What is it? We don't know if we'll keep it at the end.
The rest is out.
Maybe we'll move it to the middle. We'll see. But all right, Steve, thank you so much for being here. Look, I thought this was a great episode. Any other final parting words for our audience?
No, I think that's it. It was great coming here. I'm glad we finally got together, and it was just as good as I knew it was going to be. You're a great guy, and what you've done in the area of criminal law practice is incredible.
Thanks. I really appreciate it. Look, we put our heart and souls into what we do here at Rosslyn Law Firm. We really care. We look at ourselves as community and relationship builders, and we have fun while we do it. We work hard. Sometimes it's stressful. But we have fun. We're here for an impact, and I love what I do.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, great, fantastic. Thanks for coming.